right, welcome to OER for Social Sciences. My name is Morgan, and you can see my contact information there is at the bottom of the screen. You can always reach out if you have any questions about what we cover. This is really meant to introduce you to OERs and to really get comfortable with the idea of open education resources within the college classroom, particularly for your subject. A lot of times I think it can be a little daunting to figure out how you get OERs into your class. The main thing I really want to emphasize that it is not a destination, it's a process. It's a process of finding what works for your class. What do your students need? What do you need? What do you want to teach? I think it can be tempting to want to get it all done in one semester and just call it done. But it really is a process of evolving the class as the students and as the material evolves. So what are OERs? It stands for Open Educational Resources, but the real thing that I want to emphasize about them is that they're accessible and free resources for learners. It's always the start of a conversation because what does that look like in the classroom? That's different for everyone. And then also, it is an opportunity for students, if they find materials that they really like, how do we continue to support them in their learning so that they can continue to grow as students, but also outside of the academic world, how can they continue to learn with accessible and free resources? And then it's a tool for connection among faculty, students in the library. It really is a collaboration between all of us to figure out what will work for a particular course or for a group of students. Many social science courses at CCCC are already OER oriented. That includes Psych 150, Sociology 210, and ACA 122. There are some classes that obviously use OER materials, but they're not fully OER. Again, not necessarily, oh, we got to do this all right now. Just a process of what catches your eye, what do you want to know more about, and how can we sort of integrate OER materials into the classroom to ultimately benefit students. So what's the point? Equity, retention, and flexibility. So I'm going to drop a couple links into the chat there for why OERs are beneficial and also how they help and support students. So a lot of times students will actually not purchase the textbook for a particular class. They will kind of wait to see if they need it. Some will then go and purchase it, and then some will just not purchase it at all. So it's hard for them to participate in the class if they don't have the textbook. Those links actually indicate that some students will push off a class they believe will require a textbook and then try to come back and take that class later, maybe with a different instructor that doesn't require the same materials, or when they have the funds. And so it can decrease retention. Student success is also dependent on flexibility, and OER materials are super flexible. They come in a lot of different contexts, and there's a lot of different workarounds for if one type of material doesn't work, can you cover it in a different format or a different, from a different perspective to help that student. And then it makes the playing field a lot more equitable because then all the students are pretty much on the same page and can access the material in ways that are equitable. Yes, sometimes they are online. You can order physical copies of an OER, but even if they are online, maybe a student can get to the library and then use one of the computers to access that, even if they maybe don't have their own personal laptop. So there are still limitations to that equity aspect, but OERs help to get us one step closer to a more equitable education environment. So here are some general resources. I don't know, have you used any of these resources before? Whether that's Open NCCC or Open Education Initiative?
History 131 and 132, we use OpenStax. So that would be social sciences. Can you hear me, Morgan?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay.
Yeah, so social sciences here is actually, it's a libguide with some general OER sources, including libstacks, or I'm sorry, OpenStax, but you've got like Intech Open and OER Commons. So this is a good place if you're wanting to just kind of concentrate a little bit on some general resources, can be very useful. And then Open NCCC, you can search by subject, as you can see here. And then you can just decide if there's something that you want to look at, you can narrow it down and explore. So civics, for example. It just depends on what you want to find. The big thing about a lot of these resources is that it does take time to find whatever it is you're looking for. Now, this is actually something I found the other day that I haven't really had a chance to dig too deep into, but I thought it might be interesting if you were curious about promoting open pedagogy in the classroom. It's kind of a toolkit that's got some teaching methods that go along with that. It's something that you can review if you're interested in it, but it's something that I got in oh, what are those things called? You know, like a listserv. Yes, a listserv. So that is one of the resources that came through. It can be very useful just in general. But one of the things that can be challenging about OERs is the discoverability of those materials. So to kind of help with that, I got some links here that really focus on curated textbooks. So instead of looking for specific materials through a wide variety of content, these LibGuides actually host textbooks that are accessible as OER materials. So I'm going to drop the history links in there for you if they're of interest to you. There, the government resources one, that's a LibGuide on how to access and use government resources. Would you necessarily use all these textbooks in your class? Not necessarily, but it does give you an opportunity to look at just some specific materials amongst all of the variety of OER materials that are available out there. And the big questions that we would think about with whether we're curating individual textbooks or creating a LibGuide with links, or we're looking through a wide variety of materials for classroom activities. The big questions are, what do you want to be able to do? What questions or concerns do you have about OERs? And then how can the library help and support you? So a study, which I'm going to drop in the link or the chat for you, is the issue with discoverability. So one of the things that faculty in this particular study indicated was that finding the materials that they wanted to use or might use in an OER classroom was challenging. That was the hardest part for them. When I've been talking with faculty here about OERs, the issue has been time, and the time constraint and the intensive amount of work that goes into developing an OER course, or a course that is totally OER. What concerns or things have you thought about when you are thinking about OERs, or about if you were going to incorporate more OERs into your classroom? What kind of things do you think might come up?
Well, with most of my courses being CCP designated, Just getting high school students familiar with the OER format. Some of them really prefer, a hard copy textbook. And I feel like in most cases, I
Mhm.
mean, it kind of depends on the instructor, but the course resources are laid out pretty straightforward. But you know, they still have issues navigating, finding different things. Compared to just content in a textbook, they can flip to a page and have that there.
That's a great point. That's not something that I would have probably thought about. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
And I think in all of these questions that you really highlight what is really important is what do the students need to be successful? And so if the library can help and support you in that way, we're happy to do that, and happy to ensure that at the very least, students can come to the library and say, I need some help with this, or the faculty can come to the library and say, I need some help with this, and we can at least try to help as best as we can. A collaborative opportunity that I've been working on is with Robert Barnes, who teaches on the Chatham campus. But one of the things that we did, we actually made some course resources through library materials. So these are really supplementary materials, but it allows the faculty member to look through the different resources that the library offers that obviously these are accessible through the library. So students already have access to them, and that may help students as they are navigating the course. So is it totally something that would take the place of a textbook? Probably not, but it is something that if there's an option between going out and finding an activity that a student might have to purchase versus something that the library already offers, then that can be that sort of how can we make it equitable for the student? Does the library have something that can meet that need already, so that students do not have to try to access something that they might not be able to afford this semester, or whatever the case might be. So using the library resources to make a more level playing field. And then this right here is a link I'm going to actually share with you. A lot of times after I do this presentation, I do get some feedback about like, oh, this is what I want to do. But sometimes faculty and students and staff have to think through what this information might be, or what it might look like. And, we're like in the middle of registration. And so planning for classes is maybe not really on the forefront of our minds. And that's okay. This link is really here. If and when you are ready and you want to try to set up a meeting and work with the library to integrate more OER materials, this link can be used. You can say, obviously you can always email us, but this will give you some things to think about, some questions and concerns you want to work through, some ideas that you have. And this can help us to plan a meeting that would be beneficial for you and for your students, and also get you what you need. So that link you can fill out now if you want, but you can also just hold on to it and use it at your own convenience. And finally, I just want to emphasize the librarians that we have on staff are always welcome to suggestions and ideas, and are always open to helping and supporting you. So let's say you have an OER material that you are working to make more accessible. Mari is a great resource because she's our digital services librarian. So she can kind of help you navigate that. If you're like, look, I've got this OER material, but I need an instruction activity, or I want some help with the instruction portion of that, Allison can definitely be there to support you, because she does the instructional services things. We can all help you in our variety of different ways. But if you're like, look, I need this very specific kind of thing, we want to be there to help you, and we'll find somebody who's got the skill set to support you. So, do you have any questions right now? Can you think of anything?
I just want to be sure, in the chat, I'm just looking through what you sent across. Were there 9 links?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, all of these links will actually be sent to you as well. They're all from the slideshow here. But I'm also going to put them in the email with the recording.
Okay. Well, yeah, and like I don't know how much, based on what I teach. I mostly teach history 131 and 132, so we've kind of already got our OER structure there. But I'm always like tweaking and sometimes taking things out of it and sometimes adding things in. So I appreciate the extra resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are always happy to help you whatever stage you're in. So if you wanted to take something out, you wanted to find something to supplement, we could help you, with discoverability if you're just like searching for things. So it's wherever you are, we're there with you. We just want you to know that we're here to help, whatever the case may be.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, Morgan, have a good week. And if I got any questions, I'll email you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.